All right, hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Tuesday Sweats. It's not Sunday Sweats, Friday Sweats, Saturday Sweats, but just me here for today. I know James Santor, our buddy, is very, very happy because his Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. So congrats to James. But I'm excited to be with you guys back here again today. We're really going to focus on, of course, what we always do on these shows here, regardless of the day, is focus on how we can really make money using Rithmm and using Rithmm's AI models and predictions for both game bets and player props. And we're going to focus on today college basketball first. Obviously, today is a big college basketball day. We got roughly about 30 games overall, some bigger matchups, some smaller matchups, but I have 3 bets here in pocket. In pocket just means I've already played them, and I use Rithmm as part of my handicap to make these selections here. So we're going to talk some college hoops, 3 bets for you, talk through my process, which you may have heard before if you've been on one of these shows that we've done, but if not, it's got kind of a blend of data-driven handicapping, which is what I focus on, and then really looking at not only what the market is doing, how the lines are moving, which direction the bet splits are leaning, where my system matches are at, but then, of course, applying the big cherry on top. You got the cone, the ice cream, the toppings, and the beautiful cherry on top is Rithmm for me, and that's when I'm basically lining up all my data in one direction. And then at the very end, hopefully I have Rithmm telling me, yes, we agree with you, or we see a similar edge or even a bigger edge. And then there are also situations where, hey, I do my research and you guys may have different handicapping styles, but you do yours, and then you get to Rithmm and you say, ooh, I got this, really sharp play. I perceive this sharp play on team A. Rithmm is actually telling me, ooh, maybe team A isn't the play. Maybe it's team B. In which case, in situations like that, I typically like to lay off the game because I really want basically all of my market-driven data with together in the same direction, all that Rithmm betting data. So 3 bets for you guys saying college hoops. Of course, we'll open it up to you guys if you have any questions about any games in particular. We have NBA, of course. Shout out to the new Rithmm pod or live stream with Joe Delera in the crew, coast to coast. That's been great to really focus on NBA handicapping. But really the beauty of Rithmm is whether it's the NFL, college football, NBA, college hoops, we got all the sports covered for you. So once you can kind of play around with Rithmm, again, download the app, tell a friend. Word of mouth is always great to spread Rithmm. But really, it doesn't matter what the sport. As long as you have access to these predictions, you don't have to be like, maybe you love NFL and you're not a big NBA person. Well, guess what? Rithmm's going to give you all these models and predictions for game bets and player props. You don't have to know, the starting 5 on the Cleveland Cavs. But if you see that, the Cavs are a 3-point favorite, Rithmm says they should be minus 5.2. Hey, there's an edge you just very quickly located based on using Rithmm. So we have some people already commenting here. Jeffrey R, how's it going, buddy? I just started Rithmm, trying it out. Yep, hope you're enjoying it. Deal the cards. Let's go Bees. That's right. We don't have hockey yet in Rithmm, but hopefully hockey and baseball upcoming next year. But I'm definitely on the Bruins here for tonight, so looking forward to that. RC and the whole crew, welcome in. Always love seeing those of you who might follow me on Twitter at Josh_insights or listen to my podcast, the All Systems Go Sports Betting Pod. Love seeing some friendly faces and some good handle screen names that I recognize in the chat. So it's great to see everybody here. And yeah, great point by my producer or our producer, Alec. Rithmm does have a Discord channel. So if you are new to Rithmm and you need maybe some questions to be answered, I'll do my best, but going straight to the source in that Discord channel is a great idea. We got to get nasty with Seton Hall. Yeah, I got a little bit of a lean in that one too, Trevor Vanden Bosch. Are you related to Leighton Vander Bosch? I don't know. But anyway, they're going to get a lot of questions answered. We're going to focus mostly on college basketball, and then we're going to go to the Super Bowl because even though we're 2 weeks away, or I guess technically a little less than 2 weeks away, I have some thoughts. We have some early leans, and I have a play that I haven't put in yet, but most likely that'll be the direction that I'm sweating here. So I want to talk game models because there is an edge that I've seen here on the side. We'll talk about what the betting market is doing for Chiefs and Eagles, and also look at some player props because when we get to player props, I think you want to handle the Super Bowl maybe a little bit differently than you might be handling regular season player props because we'll get to it the second half of the stream here today. But these props are very, very public, and the public's going to gravitate to Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley. So really oftentimes what that does is it overinflates a lot of these popular players because if you want to bet Saquon over, yeah, he's a great player, but if it's 125 in the market, maybe it should really be 115, but the odds makers have jacked it up because they know everyone's going to want to play that Saquon over. So I like to target lesser known players, and actually have 3 early Rithmm edges here for some lesser known players. They all happen to be Chiefs players, but that should be fun to talk about that. Diamond Hands, how are Rithmm with NBA props? I think they're really good. You can look at tons of different categories here. Once you download Rithmm, there are 2 sections that you can click. Like, I'll just pull up my Rithmm app right here. Right now, I'm in college basketball. So anyone like Georgetown in the points tonight? But then if you look at the bottom instead of games, you can just click home. You can click, for example, NBA. And when you get to the NBA board, you can quickly search the top 5 predictions, top dogs, top system matches, and then also you can go to props, and you can go to the listed props that are most recommended, or go to all props. And that's kind of what I like to do. Basically search by each game, and maybe it's 1 player points, but it might be the combination. Well, like one thing that I've seen Diamondback is that and here we go. Look at that, 143 and 93. That's pretty damn good. But one thing that I've noticed with props is it's really the PRA, points, rebounds, assists, rebounds, assists. Sometimes those combo props can be very lucrative, especially if it's for a lesser known player to go over that number. So obviously we have you covered here with game bets and player props. But without further ado, I know it's kind of a sleepy Tuesday afternoon here. We got some games to talk about. So let's go to the college basketball slate here for tonight. So first off, a lot of games tonight, around 30 overall. We got some big time matchups, but really what I found in terms of some edges here for tonight, we're on some lesser known games. So I'm going to start off with the first one that I noticed, Toledo and Ohio. Now this is a 7 o'clock game, game 6-11, 6-12 for those of you who are interested in the Vegas ID or rotation number. And really the thing that I noticed here is a good opportunity here to back Ohio. So what I like to do is first start with the betting market, see what the betting market is telling me about this game. Toledo comes in 11-8. Ohio is also 11-8. You've had Toledo kind of up and down recently. They've rotated wins and losses over their last 4 or 5 games. Ohio got hit with some injuries. They had lost 2 in a row, but they just bounced back with a big win over Kent State. So basically the public is kind of thinking, hey, where do I go here? It's a relatively short number, couple points either way. Do I take the dog in the points? We all know Maction when it comes to football. Maction can be kind of crazy, and you see a lot of wacky things happen with those. And I miss them, to be honest with you. Those Tuesday, Wednesday, early week games. College hoops, somewhat similar, but I think there's an angle to go chalk here. I like Ohio in this one, guys. I played Ohio on the money line. You can get them around -160, -155 at this point. But the first thing I noticed from a betting market perspective, all movement toward Ohio. Ohio opened this game around a 2.5 point home favorite. Ohio has now gone up all the way to -3, -3.5. So good point by Trevor here. 2 of their better players, Clayton and Hadaway, are both out. So this line move with the line going toward Ohio, it's not because these 2 players are playing. They're not playing. So the fact that they're not in, this wouldn't be what I would consider an injury line move. Like if 2 guys are in that are contributors, Clayton is their top scorer. Hadaway, I think, is like their 3rd or 4th leading scorer. But the fact that they're not playing and yet the line still went to Ohio tells me that despite those guys not suiting up, the betting market, the sharps who can move numbers, still like Ohio in the spot. So the fact that we opened -2.5 Ohio, we're now up to -3, even 3.5 across the board. That tells me that we've had pretty much one-way movement in favor of the Bobcats here tonight. Then I like to look at what the splits are telling me. So if any of you are members for VSiN.com, which I also write articles for VSiN.com as a sports betting analyst, you can get access to both these DraftKings and Circa bet splits. And a lot of people always ask, the difference between the 2. I try to look at it this way. The DraftKings splits, bets in dollars, that's really going to be where you go contrarian, because DraftKings is a big public book. The Circa splits are really from Circa out in Vegas, who has high limits, accepts smart money. That's where I'm going to look for, ideally low bets, higher dollars. It's always a good sign to me if DraftKings is heavy one direction, yet Circa has more money on the opposite side, because I always want, in a perfect world, to be on a play where I'm simultaneously betting against the public and betting with the sharp bettors. So that's how you can kind of use those splits to your advantage. With that being said, if you look at these splits right now at DraftKings, You're getting around 2/3 of bets on Ohio. I don't love that. Technically a quote unquote public play, but they're also getting 90% of dollars. So not just a public, but also smart money here, heavy on Ohio. And it's also important when you're looking at line movement that basically the line is moving toward that low bets, higher dollars bet split, which is what's happening here. So it kind of tells me it's a pro and Joe bet. Maybe the public just says, hey, I'll just go home chalk tonight. Whereas wise guys really look at the value of the number. You know, when this was Ohio -2.5, maybe they capped this game and said, ooh, I got Ohio, you know, -3.5, -4, which is why they hammered Ohio, caused that line move in their favor. Keep on cruising. I like to reference Ken Palm. Does a great job with his advanced analytics. Ken Palm has Ohio winning by 5 points tonight, which is a good sign that these, you know, kind of these stat numbers really favor Ohio in this matchup. Now, a lot of you might say to yourself, hey, Ken Palm's got them by 5. You know, they're only -3, 2.5, 3, 3.5 in the market. Why not just lay the points and save the juice? If that's what you want to do, that's up to you. But for those of you who maybe haven't bet a ton of college basketball or maybe are new to sports betting, I'm a big fan of money lining short favorites because let's just say Ohio wins this game by 2 tonight. If you money line Ohio, you win the bet. But if you laid the points with Ohio, you lose. And there are so many times where, for example, maybe Ohio is, you know, down by 1, they hit a walk-off or, you know, they hit a game-winning shot to win by 1 or 2. Money line, you win. Laying the points, you lose. We've also seen this happen. There was a game, I forget which game it was. It was either, I think it was mid to late last week, where basically a favorite was up by like 4 with like, again, 5 seconds left. The other team hit a 3-pointer so that favorite won by 1, meaningless 3, to win by 1 instead of win by, you know, 4. So crazy things happen. You know, college hoops is always a roller coaster here. I'm the type of bettor that says, hey, I'm willing to pay a little bit more juice for the safety and security of saying to myself, hey, I just got to win this game tonight. I don't have to make sure that they win by, in this case, you know, 4 or more. So I money lined Ohio. I also like to look at some stat categories here that might kind of, when I'm going into a sweat, have me something to maybe bank on or hope that that edge continues. One that I found is defensive efficiency. Ohio ranks 211 in the country. That may not seem great, but if you look at Toledo, they're 327th. So a big advantage here defensively for the Bobcats. Effective field goal percentage, you know, can you make your shots? 53% for Ohio, only 50% for Toledo. Then you look at home road splits. Obviously, home road is important. I would say even more in college than it is in the pros. Pros, you're going on the road. You're an adult. You've been there, done that. Doesn't really faze you. When you're a kid who's 18, 19 years old, going on the road, everyone's screaming at you. Maybe you get a little nervous and miss some free throws. Whereas when you're at home, you got the crowd pumping you up. You feel a lot better. Home road is important to me in college. Ohio, 8-0 at home this season. I also have a system match here. I like to look at, you know, things that could maybe come into play here or kind of tell you the story of a conference or a league. Well, I plugged into my database. When 2 teams in the MAC play each other, what typically happens? Well, the favorite wins those conference games 71% of the time. They're 30-12 MAC favorites in conference play this year. So that all matches with Ohio. So we've built the case to play Ohio based on the line move, the bet splits, the Ken Palm edge, the advanced analytic edge. And then lastly, I go to Rithmm. I pull up Ohio versus Toledo, and I see that I have a Rithmm system match or a Rithmm prediction that has Ohio -3.2. And I love how Rithmm gives you the 0.2, 0.7, 0.9, you know, semantics, but I also like that it's it kind of makes you round up or round down, or gives you kind of a better case of like if it's 3.1 or 3.9. I think that can give you a little more just insight into the edge overall. So that's how I use Rithmm. I start with the market. I wait till the end to apply Rithmm. And Rhythm's got Ohio -3.2, which makes me feel good if I'm money lining Ohio. Now, let's just say when I go to Rithmm, I really like Ohio, and they have Ohio -1. That would be a situation where I would get nervous. I would say, ooh, am I on the right side here? Or if Rhythm's got a 1-point, you know, prediction here, should I be taking Toledo and searching for a 3.5? That sort of thing can make me take a step back, reassess the game, and figure out, hey, you know, am I on the right side or the wrong side? I feel like I'm on the right side here with Ohio, again, based on the line move, the splits, Ken Palm, Rithmm, all those included. Now, does that mean Ohio's guaranteed to win tonight? Of course not. anything can happen. That's why sports betting is exciting. That's also why it can be frustrating and can be really difficult to win. But to me, trying to make the most educated, smartest bet that you can tells me Ohio is the play tonight. So I will be sweating the Ohio Bobcats, my first bet of the night, and that is a money line bet. Money line short favorites. I got Ohio around minus 160. Now, second game, Dayton and St. Bonaventure, the Bonnies, where Adrian Wojnarowski quit his Woj bombs and became the athletic director for St. Bonaventure, which I applaud him. That took some guts. But you know what? When you're always attached to your phone and you can never live your life, I kind of get why he went to become the GM of his alma mater. Anyway, big game here tonight in the Atlantic 10. And I like the road favorite here. Give me Dayton on the money line. Relatively cheap. I got him around minus 130. But here's my play. Let's set the stage, give some background on these teams, and then I'll give you my reasoning here to play Dayton. So two good teams in the A10, Dayton 14-6. They've won 3 straight. On the flip side, though, the Bonnies are 15-6, good record, but they're kind of going the other way. They've lost 5 of their last 6. Now, part of me, as a contrarian bettor, wants to buy low on a team that's struggling, sell high on a team that's playing well. But I'm not going to just like force that narrative. I'm going to look and see the way kind of the sharper bettors, the wise guys who really move numbers, how they're handling it. Because the public will always say, give me the hot team, let me fade the cold team. But it's not always the case. In this situation, though, it looks like the wise guys are leaning the hotter team who's playing better, Dayton. And how do I know that? Well, first, we've seen this line move toward Dayton. Dayton open as low as a 1-point road favorite. We've now seen Dayton get up to minus 1.5 and now minus 2. So the fact that, we've never gotten down to a pick, it's always been moving in favor of Dayton. There really hasn't been much buyback here on the Bonnies. Tells me a lot of the liability here is going with the Flyers. Then we dig a little bit deeper here. I really like the bet splits on Dayton tonight. If you look at DraftKings, they're getting 65% of spread bets, 74% of spread dollars. So again, Pro and Joe, low bets, higher dollars. But then at Circa, this one really jumped out to me with Dayton. At Circa, out in Vegas, by the way, you never been, you got to get there. It is basically sports bettor's paradise. But tickets are down the middle, 50-50. But 91% of dollars are on Dayton. So only half the tickets, but 91% money. That tells me you got a lot of big, sharp wagers there going with Dayton. And once again, those low bets, higher dollars splits at both DraftKings and Circa are both moving in the direction of the line move. So, let's say the splits look great for Dayton, but the line was falling to the Bonnies. That would be kind of a layoff, or not really. The key to me, guys, is that you're checking off boxes all in the same direction. If you have, this is good for Team A, this is good for Team B, that's split, there's kind of confusion, lay off the game. I only want to get down on games where I feel like everything is lining up in the same direction for me. So good splits here, along with the line move on Dayton. Once again, money line bet for me. I would hate to lay a 2 with Dayton and see them win by 1 and I lose my bet. So this is a relatively short money line, only around minus 130. But then if you keep on cruising, system match here. 2 A10 teams play each other. The favorite wins 65% of the time this year, 35-19. My angle in terms of kind of the advanced analytics, the sabermetrics, although is that just baseball or sabermetrics all sports? I don't even know. But a lot of the advanced analytics really favor Dayton, specifically offensively. So I think the edge here tonight is Dayton's got to score because they're better offensively. Offensive efficiency, they rank 35th in the country. You look at the Bonnies, 125. Big edge there for the Flyers. Effective field goal percentage, 55% versus 51%. 3-point shooting, hopefully you can make your threes, 37% versus 33%. And then also, can you take care of the ball? You guys know this. Of course, I do too. How frustrating is it when you bet on a team and they're turning it over constantly, getting their pocket pick, making stupid passes cross court, trying to drive to the lane and it hits off their leg and goes out of bounds. Take care of the ball. You always want your team to take care of the ball. You want the other team to cough it up. Well, here's one thing I noticed. The Flyers rank 44th best in the country in turnover percentage. The Bonnies rank 103. Also, if you look at conference play, Dayton 4-3 against conference opponents. Nothing crazy, but it is above 500. The Bonnies are 3-5. So we got a line move toward Dayton. We got really good bet splits toward Dayton. We have a lot of offensive advantages in terms of stat categories. Cherry on top, not a huge edge, but I pop open Rithmm. Rithmm has Dayton minus 1.4. So again, the line's at now 1.5, 2. Doesn't provide me much of an edge on the spread, but at least Rithmm is telling me, hey, we also predict Dayton to win this game. Once again, let's say they have Rithmm had Bonnie's minus 1. That would make me a little nervous to play Dayton. But once again, we're lining up all these boxes to check off in the same direction with Dayton. So my second play of the night is Dayton money line at around minus 130. Now, arguably my favorite game of the night because it's so gross and we're betting on a team that's lost 8 in a row, but I really like it. This is a 9 o'clock game, Arizona State and Colorado. Now, I'm going to ask you guys if you paid attention yesterday to Iowa State, Arizona. That was just beautiful. The sharpest play you can ever draw up in favor of Arizona. It was an unranked home favorite versus ranked opponent. 80% of bets were on Iowa State. Iowa State, obviously a good team, 17-2, third-ranked team in the country. Arizona unranked. But yet the line kept moving toward Arizona, even though everyone was betting Iowa State. Now, I don't want to feel like I'm bragging about winning Arizona because it took a freaking miracle because Arizona was down 3 with 2 seconds left, and Caleb Love hit a three-pointer, basically like 3/4 court to force it to OT, and they win in overtime. So there was some luck involved. But that's a play I'm always going to make. Fishy, unranked home favorite versus ranked opponent. Now, this isn't in favor of Colorado, an unranked favorite, but it's a fishy play with a similar line move, with the line moving toward, quote-unquote, the worst team that is a short chalk home favorite. So if you look at Arizona State, they're 11-8 this year. They have lost 5 of 6, though. They've struggled. Similarly, Colorado, they started off pretty good. They're 9-10 on the year. They've lost 8 in a row. So this game open, some books around a pick 'em. You had other books, very short Colorado favorite, Colorado around a 1 or 1.5 point home favorite. And the public is saying, I'm not laying points with Colorado. Colorado stinks. They've lost 8 in a row. They're below 500. Give me Arizona State. I'll take the points all day with Arizona State. They have a better record, and they're getting points. I'll take that all day. However, you've seen this line move toward Colorado. Colorado, again, pick 'em, -1, -1.5. We've now seen Colorado get up all the way to 3, 3.5. And Trevor, exactly right. You have a guy, Jaden Quantrance, probably butchered his name, but he is out for ASU. So that's probably another angle here why we've seen this line go to Colorado. Whether it's an injury or smart money, pretty clear here. Publix Arizona State, if you look at DraftKings right now, you're getting upwards of 70% of spread bets on Arizona State, yet this line keeps going toward Colorado. So this is a fade the trendy dog play for me. Anytime you get a dog that's very popular, getting upwards of 60, 70% of tickets, automatically I want to bet against them because you got to remember, the public hates betting dogs. They want to take the favorite, the better team. So in the rare instances where they load up on a dog, they become popular. They become trendy. Therefore, we want to bet against them. It's the gross dogs that are getting like 20%. Those are the ones that I like. But once you become popular, you become trendy, I want to fade you. So it's a fade of Arizona State as a trendy dog, but also the sharp reverse line move toward Colorado. Look at Colorado in this spot. You're really buying low on a team that struggled. So I'm buying low on bad news. You also look at one advantage here, free throw shooting, 76% for the Buffs, 70% for Arizona State. So if this is a tight game and it becomes a foul shooting contest, they're both in the bonus. Hey, hopefully Colorado can knock down their charity stripes versus obviously Arizona hopefully missing a few. Home road, of course, Colorado, they're only 9-10 on the year, but they are 8-4 at home. Arizona State 1-4 on the road. You also look at when two teams from the Big 12 play each other, the favorite is 76% straight up this year, 51-16. Last but not least, Rithmm has Colorado -2.6. So Rhythm's with us here saying that, hey, Colorado should be favored. So we got a line move, fade the trendy dog reverse line move. Our buddy Trevor mentioned an injury here to Arizona State. This is a money line play for me on Colorado. Now, I bet Colorado a little bit earlier today, -140 on the money line. I think right now they're a little bit more expensive, around -155, but still, that's worth it to me. Because, again, you'd hate to see them win by 3. You push or lose a 3 or 3.5. So using, my approach to the betting market as a data-driven bettor, paying attention to what the market's telling me, how it's moving, the splits, the system matches, and then applying these Rithmm edges. I got Ohio, Dayton, and Colorado, all money line plays. And the way I look at it is that I got 3 plays. I'm trying to go 2-1. Trying to go 2-1, eke out a winning night. When you get to, oh, let's sweep the board. No. Don't be cocky. Don't be arrogant. If we go 3-0, that will be amazing. We could also go 0-3. So let's try to go in with realistic expectations. Let's try to go 2-1 and eke out a winning night. That is the goal. Now, I'll throw it out to you guys if you have questions on any other games. Because, Diamond Hands looks like he is asking about Seton Hall. So Seton Hall was intriguing to me. That was actually a bit of a lean. I'll give you the reason why I laid off, but still, gun to the head, I would lean Seton Hall here. First thing I noticed about this game, let me just pull up the splits, is that no one wants to play Seton Hall. DraftKings right now, you're getting around 60% of spread bets on Providence. Really good bet split on Seton Hall. They're only getting around 40% of bets, but 75% of dollars. That's at DraftKings. And if you look at Circa, 43% bets, 53% dollars. Then you look at the line move. We opened -3.5 Providence on the road. At one point, this line got down to, I want to say, as low as 2.5 earlier today. And then it crept back up to 3.5. I am seeing some juiced up numbers here, Diamond Hands, where it may get to 4. So I think if you like Seton Hall here, and again, I lean Seton Hall just because it is a contrarian spot. Public's all over Providence. There was that sign of liability earlier here with that line falling. My one kind of worry, though, is sometimes you'll see this betting college basketball where like early morning or late morning, early afternoon, you'll see, or mostly early morning, a line will really fall toward the dog, but then they get boosted back up throughout the day. And a lot of times that late movement, like, is it a head fake? Is it maybe some sharps like Billy Walters, who is known for this, the head fake? Maybe their true position was Providence all the time, but they hit Seton Hall early at low limits to bring that line down to 2.5. Then they hammered Providence -2.5 to bring it back up to 3.5 or 4. So long story short, again, in a weird way, I would like Seton Hall more if this line was still at 3 or 2.5. Like, in a way, you feel like, hey, I'm getting 3.5. That's pretty good. But there was some buyback that drew it back up. But to your point, Diamond Hands, it is a 2.7 from Rithmm. So Rithmm is telling you, hey, you're hitting a 3.5. There's some value there. Let's look at what KenPom has for that game, because that is worth it, at least for me, to be aware of his prediction. I mean, yeah, he's got Providence winning by 3. Yahusha Goal, what up, Yahusha? Yeah, so long story short, I would lean Seton Hall with you there. It's just I don't love that late buyback toward Providence bringing it back up. But again, it does have a lot of things to like. I'm rooting for anyone on Seton Hall, that's for sure. Let's see, Providence off the Cooley Bowl. Yep, they'll be hung over tonight. Seton Hall can muck it up and make you feel uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm rooting for you guys on Seton Hall. I'd love to lay off and see you win, and I'll say, why didn't I play it with Trevor and Diamond Hands in the crew? Let's see. Another one here. What do you think about Georgia tonight? Victor, what's going on, Victor? So let me pull it up. Let's see. So Georgia opened at around -8. They're down to 7.5. Looks like maybe some South Carolina money came in there. Let's pull it up. Take a look at some splits. Wow. At Circa, only 46% bets, 96% dollars are on South Carolina. That's pretty good. And it's more 50-50 at DraftKings. Let's see what KenPom has. He's got Georgia by 8. So I'd lean South Carolina here if you can still find an 8. That was a really good split at Circa. And the line did fall a bit toward South Carolina. Let me just pull up and see what Rithmm has. Victor, I appreciate you, man. My model likes South Carolina spreading the over. Cass O'Brien. Yeah, I think there are some things to like about South Carolina. Let me see what I have here for mine. Let's see, that's a 7 o'clock game. So I have a Rithmm model that says Georgia should be -6.6 and a 6.1. So yeah, that's a good call. I would lean South Carolina with you guys. good bet split. The line's dipped a little bit towards South Carolina. That'd lean me a little bit towards South Carolina. Sometimes I just worry road teams. It's hard to win on the road in college hoops. Let's see. Jeff Platts leaning toward the over for Kentucky, Tennessee. Let's check that one out. All right. So you are getting a good number, my friend. Over 145.5. Now it opened at 148 or 148.5. So it definitely fell. That tells me early on there was a lot of money that hit that under. Let's take a look at some other info here. Now the splits look good to the under, to be honest with you, Jeff. 35% bets, 49% dollars on that under at DraftKings. And then if you look at circa 86% bets, 99% dollars. So it does look good with the under. The question is, has it fallen too much? Like, again, if that opened 148, 148.5, it's down to 145.5. Let's say it lands 146. The early sharps obviously would win that under, but if you're late and play the under, you lose. Now the other thing is, does it sail under? Is it a 69 to 65 game, something like that? I am noticing one thing though. Is it a spot to buy low on Kentucky? Because this line's gotten all the way to 11, and I'm seeing possibly some buyback. I don't have a play on this game, to be honest with you, but if you look at circa, Kentucky's only getting 36% bets, but 50% dollars. And if you look at DraftKings, they're actually very public, 72%. Now, KenPom has Tennessee winning 77 to 68. So what's that? 145. So you're like right on the number. And let's see what Rithmm has. So Rithmm leans Kentucky plus 8.7, plus 9. And if you look at the total, Rhythm's got a 147, 146.2. So yeah, I don't mind your over because you are buying low. I just would be a little bit worried that there was a lot of money that hit that under. And again, now it's a question of, the other thing is, like, do you want to live line it? Maybe they start really slow and it's a low number you can go over, or maybe they start with a million points and the new live line is, 159 and you can go under, that sort of thing. But hope you win that one, Jeff. Let's snag some bags, Diamond Hands. Yep. I'm out of like SC spread and overcast. Yeah, appreciate it, Victor. BDC Johnny's. So, to be honest with you, I was looking at Georgetown all day, and then there was some late movement that just hammered St. John's. Because St. John's opened around -4.5, -5. The line at one point got all the way down to 3.5. Now it's all the way back up to 5. Now, the tough one for me with St. John's is they're really public. They're getting like 80% of bets, and you're kind of getting the worst of the number. Like if you told me you bottomed out and were able to get St. John's -3.5, -4, hey, I'm not going to argue with that. If you look at KenPom, he's got St. John's by 6. So that would make you feel better about the Johnny's BDC. But then let me just see Rithmm, because I want to say Rithmm like Georgetown in the points. Yeah, Rhythm's got Georgetown. I have a plus 3.5, +4. So, hey. The Hardman. Any bets for Kentucky, Tennessee? So, yeah, we were just talking about that game. You have a boost. Tennessee looked pretty sharp at one point. They opened as low as -8.5, -9. They've gotten hit up pretty hard, though, up to -10.5, -11. They do have some decent splits there. Rithmm has, we just mentioned it, I want to say Kentucky, what was it, +8.5, +9. The total has fallen quite a bit, 148 to 145.5, 145.5. If you're making me force a boost here, Hardman, I don't kind of mind buying low on that over. I know Jeff Platts was mentioning that. Jeff, any other love or reasoning for that over? Because, yeah, I could get kind of a buy low over. You do have some pretty good offensive teams there. But Tennessee also plays really good defense. Again, I would kind of make your choice there, the Hardman. But I really don't mind buying low and going over 145.5. if you can get it. The other thing here is don't bet it right now, the hard man. You know, right now it's 4:37 p.m. Game's at 7. Let's see where that late movement goes. Like, for example, right now it's 145.5. Do you see it start to creep back up to 146? Then I would say, ooh, hit that now, go over before it moves. Or does it look like it's going to fall to 145, 144.5? Pay attention to the juice there, because that could tell you which direction it's kind of the wind's blowing. Diamond Hands, I have G-Town plus 4.2. Yeah, I was leaning Georgetown all day, but I didn't like that late move back toward the Johnnies. UCF and Kansas. I mean, my first thought is UCF and the points here. You know, this open Kansas as high as minus 14. The line's down to 13. The line is moving a little bit toward Kansas, or toward UCF, I mean. Ken Palm has them winning by 14. Let's see what Rithmm has for that one. That is a 8 o'clock game. If I can find it. Okay, so Rithmm says UCF plus 11, plus 10.5. I'll lean a little bit UCF there. The line's moving their direction. You know, Rithmm is telling you it's closer to around a 10-point game. And you know, people love betting Kansas at home regardless of the price. They're getting 72% of bets right now. Unranked versus ranked, I would lean UCF personally. Let's see. PS, Bowling Green, Kent State under, all the sharps. Bart Torvik, Hasler, Greg Peterson. Ooh, GP's a sharp. I'll tell him you told him he's a sharp. That's something he'll like. Have around 130, 132. What am I missing? Let's see. So Kent State, Bowling Green. I don't think you're missing much. It opened 142. It's down to 141. Certainly fell a point. It's not the most popular game of the night. It's low bet, yet sharps hit it. And Ken Palm has a 134. I don't think you're missing anything in PC. I think it's a pretty decent under. I don't mind that at all. Let's see what some other angles have. Yeah, at DraftKings, 50% bets, 74% money on the under. And at Circa, 80% bets, 97% money on the under. Yeah, PS, I think you found a good one. Bowling Green, Kent State. That looks like an underplay. Yeah. Josh Silverman, many thanks. Any NBA award bets you like? I'll be in a state where I can bet it this weekend. Josh, appreciate the kind words, buddy. So let me pull them up because I am very lucky. I get emails from my buddy John Ewing at BetMGM, which I am always excited to look at, where he gives me basically the updated awards, bets, and dollars, especially the line movement as well. So let me see what we have. So this is from January 22nd. So it's about a week old. Let me just see the latest one. Okay. Yahusha, appreciate you, man. Okay, so yeah, this is 6 days old, but let me give you some of the numbers. So MVP. Looks like it's SGA's to win. This might have moved a little bit further, but he was minus 350 6 days ago, getting 10% bets and 31% dollars at BetMGM. To me, unless he gets hurt, it's probably SGA. It then becomes a question of what number can he get and has that line move too much. So if it's not SGA, I mean, you could kind of tell me Jokic is worth a play. What if SGA gets hurt? Jokic is putting up some ridiculous numbers, but is there Jokic fatigue because he's won it so many times before? Right now he's plus 270, or not right now, but this was again 6 days ago. He was plus 275, again 10% bets, 14% money. I'd probably pass on that just because it's probably SGA, but feels like it's moved too much. Here's one that could have some value: Rookie of the Year. because you really haven't had a specific guy who's run away with this. You've had a lot of different guys who are in the mix. One guy who has moved quite a bit is Stefan Castle. Remember, he was on UNC. He's on the Spurs now. He was down to plus 225, only getting 6% bets, 11% money. Zach Edey, Dalton Connect, they were at 1 point favorites, but they've fallen off quite a bit. The other one that's close is Alexander Sarr. I believe he got hurt. Stefan Castle. I wonder what the current price is there, but Castle kind of caught my eye with Rookie of the Year. Jalen Wells, though, also. I think he was on Washington State. He starts and plays for I think it is the Grizzlies. But he's plus 300. He's in the conversation, too. Most improved, Cade Cunningham right now is the favorite, minus 130. All right, I keep saying right now, but again, this is the latest, most recent data here, about a week old. Next closest were Evan Mobley, Tyler Hero, Norman Powell. Give me the updated price on Cade Cunningham. I could see him winning it. Defensive Player of the Year, it's going to be Wemby, but he's minus 600, so I can't really bet that. Six-man Peyton Pritchard, minus 190. If he continues to put up 20 points off the bench, I could see that. The next one would be Eamon Thompson, although I saw him last night. I think he started for the Rockets. Keep an eye on DeAndre Hunter, though, six-man of the year. He's come off the bench and he's really put in some points. But yeah, Pritchard's kind of quasi running away with that. Kenny Atkinson, coach of the year, minus 500. It's hard not to give it to the. I mean, obviously you have the OKC who's playing great too. But the way that Cavs team is playing, how do you not give it to Atkinson? So unfortunately, Mr. Silverman, nothing really jumped out to me. But when it comes to awards, you always want to kind of project outwards versus react. Like you want to bet something at a good price before you think something's going to move. So as of right now, unless you think some of these quote unquote dog guys, which I just mean dog as in, they're not the favorite, they're plus 300, plus 500. You want to put a quarter unit on that. That makes some sense. But I didn't really see a ton there in terms of awards. Now, I do have to wrap up the live stream, but I did want to mention a couple things for the Super Bowl and see what you guys think, because I don't have an official bet yet, but I'm going to go Kansas City money line. A couple things I like about the Chiefs. Just pull it up. One is that the initial line move went to the Chiefs. They were minus 1.5 at a lot of shops. They got up to 2 at some shops. A lot of them are now down back to 1.5. So part of my reasoning why I haven't bet the Chiefs yet is it's such a long runway from now until the Super Bowl that a lot can happen, and I don't want to money line the Chiefs right now and see the line, fall to a pick 'em. So I'm basically trying to get the best price that I can. But when you get to the big game, line moves are important because the odds makers set really, really sharp numbers, and it takes a lot of money to move it up or down. So I always pay attention to that. But big reason why I like Kansas City is the Rithmm edge. When I go to Rithmm, and then I'll give you the other reason why I really like the Chiefs. Jeffrey R., appreciate you, man. Have a good night tonight. Hope you cash your tickets. But I had 2 models for this game. One had Chiefs minus 5, which was a bit aggressive. The other one has Chiefs minus 2.2. So both my models have Chiefs. The other angle for me, guys, again, I try to be as data-driven as I possibly can, because once you sift away from the data and start letting that opinion, let that bias seep in, it can talk you into bad bets, talk you out of good ones. But I'll just give you a very quick anecdote. And that BDC, that you just hit the nail on the head. I like it, Josh. Never bet against Patrick Mahomes. All he does is win regardless of any and all signs. So that's the other part of my handicap. Rhythm's telling me I got Chiefs minus 2.2, even minus 5. The other angle is the Mahomes factor. And I'll tell you a very quick story. A couple of years ago, if you guys remember, it was, same matchup, Chiefs-Eagles. The Chiefs were, what was the line? I think the line was 1.5 or 2, somewhere around there. It was a very short number. But going into that game, I had my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, the in-laws, visiting. We had recently bought our house, me and the wife, and we had our first quote-unquote Super Bowl party. And my mother-in-law made albondigas. If you've never had it, it is like, it's so good. It's kind of like this Mexican soup with like meatballs in it, and it is just delicious. But she made albondigas. I also remember because, do you guys remember the Chinese spy balloon that was going across the country? Is it a UFO? What the heck is it? Sometimes I just remember. I think back to that time where I had a bowl of albondigas soup. I was tracking the Chinese spy balloon, and we are getting ready for the Super Bowl. And my father-in-law, Jerry, looks at me and he says, "Oh, who you got in the big game?" And I said, "Oh, I got the Eagles," for whatever data-driven reasons I had at that point. And he looked at me and he goes, "You're really betting against Patrick Mahomes?" And the way he said it and the way it made me feel, it was like, ooh, I really am betting against Patrick Mahomes. And of course, what happens? Eagles probably should have won the game. Chiefs come back and win it late. But I lose my bet. And I said to myself, I am never betting against Mahomes again. So I learned that through losing. And I kept that with me. And ever since that happened, I made a very big bet on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl against the 49ers last year. Came through for me. A big part of my cap was Mahomes as a dog. You might remember the 2 weeks leading up narratives for him. And, one of it was Mahomes as a dog, Mahomes as a dog, Mahomes as a dog. A lot of people told me that's a lazy handicap. You're betting Mahomes as a dog, even though he's 11-1 ATS as an underdog. But they kept telling me it's a lazy handicap. But my lazy handicap worked, okay? Anyway, I did the same thing last week. Not going to bet against Mahomes. It was a very short number, very similar to this, 1.5, 2 at home against the Bills. Came through for me again. Guys, when you see greatness, I was able to live through the Patriots dynasty. Mahomes dynasty is what we're living through now. Might end up winning more championships than Brady, who knows? But if you're giving me a Rithmm edge saying it should be a 2 or 5 point win by KC, and we also don't want to bet against Mahomes, that's good enough for me. So I'm going to be on Chiefs money line. It's just a question of getting the best price. Lastly, I just want to mention one thing real quick on props. When it comes to Super Bowl props, everybody likes to be a part of it. Even people who don't bet props throughout the year, they want to bet the coin flip. Don't bet the coin flip unless it's even money, because if you're laying minus 105 on heads or tails, you're making a minus EV bet. But whole point being, when you get to the Super Bowl, everyone's going to want to play Kelsey over, Mahomes over, Saquon Barkley over, Hurts over, A.J. Brown over. They're going to go to the star players and bet them over because it's more fun to root for something in the positive in favor of a star player. I, on the other hand, found out, and I can't take any credit for this, but over time I've learned, hey, those star players are kind of inflated. They get a lot of love from the odds makers and the public. So therefore, there's actually a lot of value to buy low on some guys who might be getting overlooked. And it's also a lot harder for the odds makers to set numbers on guys who aren't star players. So with that being said, focusing on lesser known guys, like if you remember last year, one bet that the wise guys loved, and I was out in Vegas, DraftKings and VSiN sent me out there. It was a great time. I got to meet the Rithmm crew, and I got to hang out with James Santor and Megan and everybody. But one play that the quote-unquote sharps that I was around loved was Kyle Juszczyk. I think it was over, I don't remember the number, over 4.5 receiving, or some super low number. And I want to say the first play of the game was a pass toward Juszczyk, and he got like 12 or 15 yards. So like it's those kind of bets that oftentimes are the money makers more so than just playing the star player overs. And with that being said, looking at Rithmm, I got a few that caught my eye. One, Juju Smith-Schuster, over 13.5 receiving yards. He had 60 against Buffalo. In the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the Eagles, he had 7 catches for 53 yards. He's really not a major, big name. I guess at one point he was big with the Steelers, but Juju is not a guy that the public is going to gravitate toward. Rithmm is predicting closer to 18 receiving yards. And the other thing is when you're betting these props, shop around. Different books have different numbers. I'm giving you 13.5. You might find a 12.5 out there. But Juju can get you one catch for 14 and cash that ticket. The other one is Xavier Worthy rushing. Xavier Worthy, obviously wide receiver. He's going to get a lot of wide receiver prop bet overs. But his rushing over 4.5 rushing yards. And I want to say one book might be even like 4 or 3.5. Rithmm is predicting closer to 6, and he had 16 against Buffalo. He's gone over this number. He's had 5 or more rushing yards in 7 of his last 9 games, and he's so fast that, jet sweep, get away from Jalen Carter and those big guys up front. Little sweep, little toss pass, little end around. Worthy can get you one run and go over that number. So he's on my list. And then lastly, Samajay Pirine. You had to wait until almost the last play of the game to go over Pirine. But this is a very reliable veteran guy who is a really good third down pass catching back. And last week he went over. His receiving yardage for the Super Bowl is 6.5. Rithmm is predicting 14. That's a really good edge there. He had 17 against Buffalo to ice the game. They went to him. Tells you the trust and faith they have in him. He's gone 7 yards or more receiving in 9 of his last 10 games. So again, when everyone at your Super Bowl party is Kelsey over, Mahomes over, A.J. Brown over, Saquon, a million same-game parlays, why not think about some of these lesser-known guys? Juju, Worthy, Pirine. Victor, last one. What do you think about BYU? I was looking at that game earlier, and at one point I was kind of liking BYU, but this line might be coming down. Honestly, Baylor +4 is intriguing, Victor, because the public is all over BYU. Let's just look at the updated number here. BYU. You know what I hate? When you do control search, you put in BYU, it's not listed. They're listed as Brigham Young. Annoying. They're getting 79% of bets at Circa, and they're getting 72% of bets at DraftKings. Now, KenPom has BYU winning by 3, and Rithmm, let me switch from NFL to college. I thought I had this over here somewhere before. MGM 12.5 for -125. Ooh, good call, Yahusha. That was for Juju? Let me see. Rithmm has BYU Baylor. Oh, good number there. I'll pay that juice because there are times it'll land right on 13. Rithmm has BYU -3.1, -3.3. So yeah, that's a no bet for me, Victor. But if you can get a 4, Baylor +4 looks a little bit intriguing. Just from the standpoint of a contrarian play, heavily bet 9 o'clock game. Rhythm's got a 3, you're getting 4. I could be intrigued by that. So we did it, boys and girls. Sign up for the 7-day free trial. You all have homework too, because you know what? I know that you are all going to a Super Bowl party. You're going to be with your friends. You're going to be having people over. You're going to go to the bar. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be talking about sports betting. Your job is to introduce them to Rithmm. And when someone tells you, yeah, I parlayed Mahomes over and Saquon over and anytime touchdown, and you're going to ask them, why did you do that? What reasoning? Oh, because they're great and I just played them over. No. Show them Rithmm. Show them the way of data. Who knows? Maybe those chalk plays will all win, but most likely long term, again, the popular public plays don't always win. When you're at that Super Bowl party, bust out Rithmm, tell them to download it. You guys will be off and running, making sharp bets. So that is your homework between now and the Super Bowl. Introduce Rithmm to at least 2 people in your life, and then give it a 5-star review, and tune into more shows. Yeah, Rithmm is incredible. Download it. Appreciate that, Yashusha. Yeah, would I partner with a questionable company? No, I love Rithmm. James Santor won me over just when he introduced me to Megan and Brian and the whole crew and Alec. And buy my book. That's also, hey, if you want to learn more, I do have a book called The Everything Guide to Sports Betting. If you want to pick up a copy, that would be awesome. If you also want to give me a follow on Twitter at Josh_insights, and you can always catch the Market Insights pod each day. Comes out around usually 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Man, Yahusha, I appreciate that, man. Have them leave a 5-star review on Amazon. That would really make it pretty awesome. But thank you all. Hope you have a great Tuesday night. Download Rithmm, tell a friend. Hope you cash some tickets, and then we'll be back at it next time I see you. So good luck. Have a great night, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care, guys.